I've always kind of wondered, what is really the difference between a red dot and a laser, at least on a handgun? I have them both roughly zeroed for about 45 feet, 15 yards. I don't know which one I'm more accurate with because I've never really shot with a laser and a red dot in the same setting. So this will be a kind of a fun little experiment to try out. All right, so now I'm 45 feet away from the target. Again, I'm using the FN509 Tactical with the Viridian X5L green light laser combo. We will be doing a full video with this light in the future. And I also have one that has a high definition camera on it for law enforcement. So maybe we get some cool footage with it. But I just wanted to see if I'm gonna be just as effective with this one as I will be with a red dot. All right, let's find out. All right, so maybe this is a little bit of a bust because from 45 feet in distance, I can't even see the green laser on the black silhouette at all. I even took my sunglasses off a minute ago and just pressed out to see if I could even pick up the green laser, and I honestly can't. Now, what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna cut to some footage where you can see a first-person perspective of me shooting with the red dot. Just keep in mind, I was trying to use the monitor of the camera to aim, so that footage might not be that great, but you'll see what it looks like. But then I also did the same thing with this gun with the laser, and honestly, I could barely see the laser at all. I was literally I had to take my iPro off and then hide my eyes behind the camera just so I could barely make out the laser. But let's cut to that footage real quick. All right, now let's do the 509 with the laser, see what I can see. Clearly, I'm not as accurate with this as I am my Glock, but that just takes time and practice. I'm not picking up that laser at all. Let's go look at this up close because I got a lot of other things I need to say about these two. I don't think this can damage your vision on camera, can it? Did I blind you? I hope not. If so, I'll have to edit that part out. Before we get into a lot of the different types of technical specs and things like that, we're also gonna talk about the pros and cons of this and go over shooting footage and stuff. Let's talk about mounting options first. Unless your gun is actually specifically made for a red dot, similar to the FN509 Tactical, the M&P Core, or the Glock MOS, or I think one of the Canics has a red dot mounting. A lot more handguns are coming with slides that can be used with multiple types of optics. Unless you have one of those, in order to use a red dot is to actually send your slide off, have it custom milled to fit down into it, and then if you want to retain the use of your iron sights, you'll need to pick up a set of suppressor height sights, just in case, something goes wrong with your red dot and it stops working. You can at least maintain your sight picture with your iron sights. Now, there is another option for mounting these, which is like a dovetail style mount. For range use, I think those are great. For self-defense or concealed carry, I just don't like them at all. And in fact, I felt like the one that I tried in the past added so much weight that my gun didn't really want to cycle.
That's good.
So I just didn't really want to explore that avenue of mounting them anymore after all that kind of went down. The best way to do it is to actually have your slide milled. Pretty much any slide out there can be milled for a red dot. Just So there are some exceptions, but for the most part, they can pretty much all be milled. As far as a laser is concerned, they're usually going to attach to your rail section under here, unless it's one of your subcompact guns like the Glock 26 or the Glock 43 or the M&P shields that don't have rails. Those have special types of light laser combos, so there's a lot of different options. So as far as the ease of mounting a red dot versus a laser is going to be a lot easier and a lot more affordable to mount. What about accuracy? You know, is one of these more accurate than the other? And I think that really depends. So as you can see in the footage at the range, I shot both the red dot and the Viridian laser from 45 feet. And the reason I chose 45 feet is that is the standard distance in which most pistol iron sights are zeroed for. Now, when I was at the range, it actually was not a bright day. It was about 5 p.m. in the afternoon, overcast. Although the camera may make it look a lot brighter, it was a little bit more dim than you might think. And I was actually very, very surprised to see that I could not pick up this laser at any distances in the daylight. One of the advantages to having a green laser, supposedly, is you can see them a lot easier than you can see the red lasers, you know, at least in daylight. In my experience, I can't see either one unless I'm indoors. Outdoors, if there's any type of light out, it doesn't matter if it's sunrise or sunset or the middle of the day, I just cannot see them beyond 20 feet. And within 20 feet during the day, it's still very difficult to pick them up, at least for me. Whereas you can see in the footage with the red dot, you can always pick this up. It doesn't matter if it's daytime, it doesn't matter if it's nighttime, it doesn't matter if you have a light on or you do have a light on, depending that you get the right red dot. Some red dots do wash out, but for the most part, I can pick this thing up 24/7. And so therefore, target acquisition definitely goes to the red dot sight. It is far superior than the lasers, at least in my testing. Speaking of target acquisition, let's talk about accuracy. They're gonna be just as accurate as one another. It just really depends on your ability to pick them up. As long as you have them zeroed correctly, they're gonna be just as accurate. One thing you do have to kind of be mindful of with a red dot or a laser, whatever distance you set it for, if the target is closer than that distance, your shots are going to be a little bit low. And once they get beyond that distance, your shots are going to be a little bit high. That's just the nature of the game because the bullet is going to be going at this trajectory. And typically your lasers are going to be going in a straight line. And you got to find that intersection point. I'll see if I can find a chart to show you this. During the trajectory arch, there's going to be 2 points in which you have point of aim, point of impact will be the same. And then if you're closer than it's zeroed, your bullet's going to hit a little bit low. And then once you get beyond that 0 point, your bullet's going to hit a little bit high. You just got to be mindful of those things. So it doesn't matter whether you go with the laser or the red dot. That's always going to be the case. Another cause of contention I've seen with when people are debating whether the laser or the red dot is a little bit better is the cost. There are a lot of options for red dots and there's a lot of options for lasers, and they can all vary in price. Prime example is the Viridian light cost about $400. The O-light cost $130. Now, typically, whenever you go to green lasers, you're gonna spend anywhere from an additional $50 to $75. So I don't know 100% if the O-light is made with a green laser. If there is, I'll put a link below for the lights and stuff like that so you can go check those out. But if they do, it's gonna be a little bit more expensive than the red laser. Now, the price variance is also true with red dot sights. For example, you can pick up these Vortex Viper red dots. These go for about $190. They work great. I mean, this isn't like an in-depth review about red dots and lasers, but they work great. They do the job. Whereas, or you can get the Trijicon RMR, which is about $400 to $500, just depending on where you get them. But I'll put links below for everything that you see in this video. That way you can go check out the prices and stuff. And I also have a place where you can pick a lot of this stuff up at dealer cost in case that's something that you guys are interested in. So the price spectrum is all over the map. Now let's talk particularly about the red dot cost. So if you want to mount a Trijicon RMR, like I mentioned earlier, you basically have 3 options. You can either get the adapter that goes into the dovetail, you can either get your slide milled, or you can get a slide that was built to be used with a red dot from the factory. And the most expensive option being if you don't already own a Glock MOS, an M&P Core, an FN 509 Tactical, or something like that, you're gonna have to go buy another slide, which can be anywhere from $300 to $400, just depending on where you get them, if you can even find find them. But actually, one of the best options is to have your slide custom milled for the red dot so that it fits specifically for that gun. That usually costs about $100, so therefore you're out $530. But with that said, this Viridian is a $400 light laser combo. So, you know, it's not really a whole lot extra money, but it is gonna be a little bit more expensive in order to mount it. The main pro to the laser is they are more affordable and more affordable to have them set up on your gun than a red dot. Now let's talk about the profiles of the guns. So for example, a red dot on your handgun is gonna add to the overall footprint of your gun, but you're not gonna notice it in a holster or anything like that. But it does definitely add a little bit of height to the profile of your slide. Whereas with a laser kind of combo, it's not really gonna add to the profile unless it adds in length. When you put the guns side by side, this definitely adds a little bit more to the profile. So the laser option is a little bit more streamlined, so to speak. Now with a lot of light and laser combos, you get different modes in which they work. So for example, with this one, I have it set to only be the laser. So when I pull it out, if I have the special kind of holster that activates it, that's what's going to be working when I pull it out. Now with this gun, in order to cycle through it, I have to press 2 buttons, and now I have a light and laser, and now I got a strobe and laser. Now I have a blinking laser, which is interesting. Now I'm back to a steady light with a blinking laser. Now I'm to a light only. Now I'm back to laser only. I bring that up because at least with this particular model of a light and laser, you can't really switch to those modes very quickly. So whichever one you have holstered is what it comes out in. For example, if I have this holstered for the light laser combo, when I wanna pull it out and press out, what if I don't want the light on, but I wanna use the laser? Now I gotta go cycle through all these modes. Not very versatile. Now with the Olight, I will say they are a little bit more versatile, but this thing is huge and honking. Let's say I have this set up to be a light laser, and if I come out of the holster and I didn't want my light on, there's a little switch down here, I can just pull it over. Very, very fast. If I want light only, it's another little switch. So that is definitely a pro, but that just kind of comes down to each respective manufacturer that makes lights and lasers, and it's still cumbersome. Whereas if I have a red dot, it's always on 24/7, at least with the Trijicon RMR. It will last a year or two with one battery on the Trijicon RMR at about medium brightness, which is where I keep it, or you can set it to be auto brightness. I could have this set up to come out of the holster. My dot is always on regardless of anything. And therefore, when I go to press out, if I need a light, yeah, I can turn a light on, not a problem. Or I can not have a light. I like that because I have more quick control over whether I'm gonna have the light on when I draw, but the dot is always gonna be on regardless, and therefore I don't gotta fiddle with anything. Now the laser does have one big advantage over a red dot, and that is it does not interfere with your line of sight. For example, if you wanna do this red dot, you're gonna need to get suppressor height sights in order to be able to co-witness and see through the window. The downside is though, what if your window shatters and you can't see through it? And now you can't use your sights. Now there are ways where you can actually use the edges of, at least for the Trijicon RMR, if you look at the top of this, you see how it has that little curve right here? You could essentially use this to actually be your sighting system. It wouldn't be quite as accurate, but at defensive distances, it's actually a very viable option. But still, you can't use your sights if this cracks, which I've never had one crack, but anything's possible. Whereas with a laser, don't even gotta mess with your factory sights. You can just leave the sights that come with your gun on your gun. Now, one reason that a lot of people want to go with a red dot or want to go with a laser is for two reasons. One, they have aging eyes. A lot of times as we age, our eyes don't wanna focus as easy. And it'd be very hard when you have two focal planes that you gotta mess with. And so what we typically do is we get our sights aligned up, and then we're told to focus on that front sight. But if we don't have as much control over that focus, it's gonna be a little bit more difficult to actually hit the target. And so a lot of people wanna go with these options because of that. Another advantage to having a red dot or a laser is it eliminates the need for a rear sight. They're both literally point and shoot. Wherever you have it zeroed, that's where it's gonna hit, given that you have all the fundamentals down. Now, one of the downsides to the red dot versus the laser is the red dot does take a little bit more practice at first to get used to, because you got to get used to pressing it out and that dot just appearing in front of your eyes. And it's not very difficult. You just practice drawing and getting your sight picture, and that dot just pops up right in front of you. Once you get that down, there's no problems. But with a laser, I mean, you're still gonna press out and align your sights just like you always do. But if you're in a low light situation, now you have a laser. With that being said, there is a place in which I think that lasers are far superior, and that's with the very small subcompact guns, like your tiny little Rugers, your tiny little M&P Shields, your Glock 42s, Glock 43s, things like that. Those I think would really benefit from a laser combo. Sometimes those slides are too small for the red dot. However, there are a couple of red dots out there that will fit those slides, at least for the Glocks. I don't know about the Smith & Wessons and stuff, but having a smaller gun, because they're smaller, we're typically less accurate with them, and those guns are typically only set up to be used within 21 feet or less. You're probably going to be able to see the laser when you press out, but those are typically for lasers only, not really light laser combos. It still eliminates the need to align your rear sight. You just press out, you put the laser on the target, and then you can hit it. You just got to be conscious of your limitations of daylight and low light, and that's the biggest thing. And the last reason I think that the red dot is superior to the lasers is I think they're better for people with aging eyes, because the dot stays the same size regardless of the distance of the target. You simply just superimpose the dot over the target and press the trigger. Whereas with the laser, as distance or ambient light increases, you're not going to pick up the laser. But anyway, that's my thoughts on lights and lasers and which one I think is better and why. I hope this video may have helped you. I hope I covered everything that I needed to cover. Let me know if I didn't. Ask those questions down below, and I'll have links for all the products down below if that's something that you're interested in. But until next time, guys, I love you, and you guys stay sexy.